January 22nd, 1879, 4:30 in the afternoon. 150 British soldiers stare across the Buffalo River as 4,000 Zulu warriors surge toward their makeshift barricades. The defenders have 20,000 rounds of ammunition, 12 hours to live or die, and one question that will echo through military history: how do you stop an army 40 times your size when retreat means certain death? 20 miles east at Isandlwana, 20,000 Zulus had just annihilated 1,300 British troops in the greatest military disaster of Victoria's reign. Now Prince Dabulamanzi Kampande leads the reserve regiments toward Rorke's Drift, the Uthalwana, the Ndlondlo, the Udloko, the Ndluyengwe. 4 veteran regiments carrying white shields, married warriors, King Tetshwayo's finest. The mission station sits on the Natal border, 2 stone buildings with thatched roofs, a storehouse, a hospital, mealie bags stacked 3 feet high. Biscuit boxes forming a perimeter 100 yards long. Lieutenant John Chard, Royal Engineers, Lieutenant Gonville Bromhead, 24th Foot, 139 men between them and 4,000 Zulu spears. If you value documented military history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. The script is researched and factual. Using sources from Chris Pierce, 2024 minute-by-minute study published by Greenhill Books and Archaeological Excavations, conducted at the battlefield between 1988 and 1990. Now back to the information. 3:45 p.m. 2 survivors from Isandlwana thunder across the drift. Lieutenant Gert Adendorf, a trooper from the Natal Carbineers. The column is destroyed. The Zulus are coming. Chard rides from the river, crossing to the mission station. Decision time. Major Spaulding had left for Help McCarr that morning. Chard commands by seniority. 35 minutes to prepare. Assistant Commissary James Dalton argues against retreat. The wounded in the hospital cannot move fast enough. The Zulus will catch them in open country. Better to fight from the buildings. Chard agrees. Henderson's Natal native horse flee toward Help McCarr. Captain Stevenson's native contingent abandon the cattle kraal. The garrison shrinks to 154 men. 39 are patients in the hospital. 4 p.m. The barricades take shape. Mealie bags from floor to ceiling, 2 parallel lines. The northern wall protects the storehouse. The southern wall shields the hospital. A gap connects the buildings. Loopholes punched through stone walls. The Martini. Henry rifles are sighted to 1,800 yards. Effective killing range, 400 yards. 20 shots per minute in trained hands. 85 grains of black powder behind a 480 grain bullet. 4:30 p.m. exactly. The 1st Zulu Regiment appears on the hills south of the station. The Uthalwana advance in the traditional horn formation. Left horn sweeps toward the hospital. Right horn targets the storehouse. The chest holds back in reserve. 4,000 warriors against 150 rifles. The defenders open fire at 400 yards. Volley after volley tears into the Zulu ranks. The heavy Martini. Henry bullets punch through shields and bodies. But the Zulus keep coming, racing between boulders, using the tall grass for cover. Some carry Martini Henrys captured at Isandlwana. Others have trade muskets. Most rely on the traditional stabbing spear. The Ikalwa, the Assegai, 5 p.m. The Zulus reach the hospital. Private Henry Hook defends the patients room by room. Corporal Scammell falls fighting in the doorway. The thatched roof catches fire. Black smoke fills the building. Patients scream as Zulu warriors burst through the walls. Hook and Private Williams hack holes between rooms with axes, dragging wounded men through smoke and flame. The hospital becomes a killing ground. Hand-to-hand combat in narrow corridors, bayonets against spears. The 21-inch triangular blade they call the lunger gives British soldiers superior reach. But Zulu warriors are masters of close quarters fighting. 8 British soldiers die by stabbing spear. 4 fall to Zulu gunfire. Only 3 suffer unknown causes. 6 p.m. The hospital falls. Private Joseph Williams dies defending the patients. The survivors retreat to the storehouse. Chard orders the inner perimeter contracted. Biscuit boxes form a new line 50 yards shorter. The Zulus occupy the burning hospital. Fire arrows arc toward the storehouse roof. The defenders stamp out the flames while maintaining their rate of fire. 7 p.m. Darkness falls across the battlefield. The Zulus attack from all sides simultaneously. Muzzle flashes light up the night like deadly fireflies. The sound of Martini Henrys echoes across the Buffalo River. British casualties mount slowly, 1 man per hour across the entire garrison. The Zulus cannot maintain concentrated pressure. Their attacks come in waves, intense assaults followed by long periods of relative quiet. Midnight. The ammunition count tells the story. 20,000 rounds at the start. Box and a half remaining means 19,100 expended. Each man's personal allocation of 70 rounds brings the total to 28,900 shots fired. 351 confirmed Zulu dead. 82 rounds per enemy killed. The mathematics of desperate defense. 2 a.m. January 23rd. The Zulu attacks weaken. Prince Dablamanzi has lost control of his regiments. Individual warriors probe the perimeter, seeking weak points. Rifle fire from the Zulu positions continues sporadically. British snipers target muzzle flashes. Private Frederick Hitch continues fighting despite severe wounds. Color Sergeant Bourne coordinates ammunition distribution. Chaplain George Smith carries cartridges under fire. 4 a.m. The last major assault fails against the northeast corner. Zulu warriors reach the mealie bag wall but cannot cross it. British bayonets meet Zulu spears in savage hand-to-hand combat. The attackers fall back, leaving dozens of bodies against the barricade. The defense holds by inches. Dawn. January 23rd, 6 a.m. The Zulus withdraw toward the Buffalo River. They carry their wounded, but leave 351 dead on the battlefield. British losses: 15 killed, 12 seriously wounded. Almost every defender bears some injury. Lieutenant Chard writes in his official report, "The men behaved splendidly." Lord Chelmsford arrives at 8 a.m. with a relief column. He expected to find smoking ruins and scattered corpses. Instead, he discovers 139 British soldiers still holding their position. 11 Victoria Crosses will be awarded for this single action, more than any other battle in British military history. The weapon that saved Rorke's Drift was the Martini Henry rifle, single-shot breech loader introduced in 1871. The Mark II variant used in the Zulu War fires a 577 450 cartridge, muzzle velocity 1,300 feet per second, muzzle energy 1,600 foot-pounds, sighted to 1,800 yards but most effective at 400. The rifle suffers from cartridge extraction problems. Thin brass cases expand in the chamber and stick after firing. Soldiers must pry out split cartridges with knife blades. But at Rorke's Drift, the ammunition supply never fails. 20,000 rounds in reserve. 400 yards of killing distance. Disciplined volley fire by trained marksmen. The Zulu military system relies on speed and shock. The bullhorn formation. Left and right horns encircle the enemy, while the chest delivers the killing blow. But this tactic requires closing to spear range. At Rorke's Drift, the British hold their ground. The Zulus must attack prepared positions across open ground. Courage cannot overcome mathematics. 4,000 warriors advance into the concentrated fire of 150 rifles. Recent archaeological excavations have uncovered new evidence at the battlefield. Stone foundations of the original hospital building discovered in 2020. Martini Henry cartridge cases confirm the British ammunition expenditure. Zulu spear points and assegai blades found near the mealie bag walls. The physical evidence matches the written accounts. The battle transforms both armies. For the British, it restores confidence shattered at Isandlwana. Proof that disciplined infantry can defeat overwhelming numbers given proper positions and adequate ammunition. For the Zulus, it demonstrates the futility of traditional tactics against modern firearms. King Cetshwayo's hopes for negotiated settlement die at Rorke's Drift. The propaganda value proves immense. After the disaster at Isandlwana, the British public demands heroes. Rorke's Drift provides them. Lady Elizabeth Butler's painting attracts crowds at the Royal Academy. The gallant stand becomes legend before the war even ends. But the strategic impact remains minimal. The Zulu War continues for 6 more months. British columns methodically advance into Zululand. Modern artillery and cavalry prove decisive in open battle. The Zulus suffer final defeat at Ulundi in July 1879. King Cetshwayo flees into exile. The Zulu military system collapses. The myth outlasts the reality. Rorke's Drift becomes the archetypal colonial battle. Brave soldiers holding impossible odds. Civilization against barbarism. The story simplifies the complex imperial history of southern Africa. It ignores Zulu military skill and British technological advantages, but the core facts remain undeniable. 139 British soldiers faced 4,000 Zulu warriors across 12 hours of continuous fighting. The defenders held their ground through disciplined fire control and determined leadership. They inflicted 20 enemy casualties for every British loss. They survived when survival seemed mathematically impossible. The defenders faced a tactical nightmare. Zulu military doctrine perfected under King Shaka emphasizes mobility and shock. The horns of the buffalo formation, encirclement, close quarters combat where numbers decide the outcome. At Rorke's Drift, the British cannot retreat. They cannot maneuver. They must absorb the full weight of Zulu assault tactics on ground chosen by the enemy. The hospital becomes the focal point of Zulu fury. Private Henry Hook guards the patients in the far room. Welsh miner turned soldier, 24 years old. He breaks holes through the stone walls with an axe as Zulu warriors storm the building. Patient by patient, he drags wounded men toward safety. Private John Williams dies beside him, shot through the head defending bedridden soldiers. The room fills with smoke from the burning thatch. Zulu warriors pour through the doorway. Hook bayonets one attacker, then retreats through his improvised exit hole. Behind him, flames consume the building where he spent 6 hours saving lives. 11 men rescued. Williams gave his life for them. Both men earn the Victoria Cross, though only Hook survives to receive it. 8 p.m. The Zulus capture the hospital completely. Flames illuminate the entire station. Chard orders the perimeter contracted again. The defenders abandon the outer line of mealie bags. 50 men crowd behind biscuit box walls 30 yards from the storehouse. The Zulus occupy the burning buildings and use them for cover. Surgeon James Henry Reynolds operates on wounded men while bullets crack overhead. No anesthetic. No proper instruments, just a folding knife and cotton bandages. He extracts Zulu spear points from 3 soldiers, treats Martini Henry bullet wounds from friendly fire incidents, continues working throughout the 12-hour battle. The Victoria Cross recognizes not just courage under fire, but medical skill that saves British lives. 9 p.m. The ammunition begins to worry the defenders. Not the quantity, but the quality. Martini Henry cartridges use thin brass cases that expand under heat and pressure. When a case splits in the chamber, the rifle becomes useless until the fragments are dug out with a knife blade. In the heat of battle, this mechanical failure can prove fatal. Private Thomas Cole experiences the extraction problem firsthand. His Martini Henry jams during a Zulu rush against the north wall. A warrior reaches the mealie bags before Cole clears the breach. Bayonet work saves his life, but costs precious seconds. Multiply this incident across 150 rifles, firing continuously, and the extraction problem becomes a significant tactical factor. The defenders adapt their fire control accordingly. Some men shoot, while others clear jammed rifles. Chaplain George Smith distributes fresh cartridges and collects damaged weapons. The 18 men of the commissariat and transport department prove their worth under fire. Storman, Lewis Byrne, falls mortally wounded while carrying ammunition. His last words, "Keep the boxes coming." 10 p.m. The Zulu tactics evolve as the battle progresses. Initial frontal assaults give way to infiltration attempts. Individual warriors crawl through the tall grass seeking weak points in the perimeter. Others position themselves behind rocks and trees to snipe at the defenders. The captured Martini Henry rifles from Isandlwana prove their worth in Zulu hands. Private Frederick Hitch takes a bullet through the shoulder, but continues fighting from the storehouse roof. He spots Zulu marksmen and directs British counterfire. His elevated position provides clear fields of observation across the entire battlefield. When a second bullet shatters his arm, he ties the limb against his body and keeps shooting left-handed. The Victoria Cross recognizes this exceptional devotion to duty. Midnight brings the fiercest fighting. The Zulus launch coordinated attacks from 3 directions simultaneously. The hospital ruins provide cover for warriors approaching the north wall. The cattle crawl allows infiltration from the east. The river drift offers concealment for the final rush. Chard realizes his position is becoming untenable. The lieutenant makes a critical decision. Abandon the outer storehouse and concentrate all defenders in the inner compound. 19 wounded men occupy the stone building. The walking wounded continue to fight. The seriously injured reload weapons and distribute ammunition. Every man contributes according to his ability. Color Sergeant Frank Bourne coordinates the defense with professional skill. Regular Army veteran, 24 years of service. He organizes ammunition distribution, assigns firing sectors, rotates exhausted men off the firing line. His steady leadership holds the garrison together during the darkest hours. 1 a.m., January 23rd. The casualty count tells a grim story. 15 British dead, including both officers killed early in the action. Wait, no. Both Chard and Bromhead survive the entire battle. The 15 dead include 8 men killed by stabbing spear, 4 shot by Zulu firearms, 3 suffering unknown causes of death. Medical analysis suggests these final 3 died from blood loss or shock. The wounded present a more complex picture. 12 men seriously injured, 10 shot by bullets, only 2 stabbed by spears. This ratio reveals the true nature of the battle. After the initial hospital fighting, Rorke's drift becomes primarily a firefight. Zulu warriors cannot close to spear range against disciplined British volleys. Those who do break through face British bayonets in superior reach. 2 a.m., ammunition expenditure reaches critical levels. The defenders have fired approximately 25,000 rounds. Each Zulu death requires an average of 71 bullets. This seems wasteful until you consider the tactical situation. British soldiers fire at targets moving through darkness. Muzzle flashes reveal Zulu positions, but range estimation proves difficult. Suppressive fire keeps attackers at distance even when direct hits prove impossible. The mathematics favor the defenders, despite overwhelming enemy numbers. Zulu warriors must cross 400 yards of open ground to reach British positions. The Martini Henry rifle kills effectively to 800 yards. A competent marksman can fire 20 aim shots per minute. Simple arithmetic. 150 rifles firing continuously create an impassable zone of death. 3 a.m. The tide turns decisively in British favor. Zulu attacks become sporadic and uncoordinated. Prince Dabulamanzi has lost effective command of his regiments. Individual warriors continue fighting, but the mass assault capability is broken. The defenders sense victory approaching, but dare not relax their vigilance. Private John Fielding distinguishes himself during this crucial period. Birmingham factory worker, 18 years old. He volunteers for dangerous missions outside the perimeter, crawling through darkness to recover weapons from British dead, dragging wounded Zulus away from the firing line to prevent them from shooting British soldiers in the back. His gallantry earns the Victoria Cross. 4 a.m. The final Zulu assault strikes the northeast corner of the compound. 50 warriors rush the mealie bag wall in a desperate attempt to break British resistance. They reach the barricade, climb onto the bags, cross bayonets with defenders in savage hand-to-hand combat. For 5 minutes, the outcome hangs in balance. Corporal William Jones leads the counterattack, Welsh coal miner. 26 years old, he bayonets 3 Zulu warriors while standing on the mealie bags, takes a spear thrust through the leg but continues fighting. His example rallies the defense at the critical moment. The Zulu assault breaks against British steel. Jones earns the Victoria Cross for this decisive action. 5 a.m. The attacks cease completely. Zulu warriors begin withdrawing toward the Buffalo River. They carry their wounded, but abandon 351 dead on the battlefield. British losses: 17 killed, 15 seriously wounded. Almost every defender bears some form of injury from bullet, spear, or flying debris. The ammunition count reveals the intensity of fighting: 20,000 rounds in reserve at the start, 19,100 expended during 12 hours of combat. Each man's personal allocation of 70 rounds brings total expenditure to 28,900 shots fired, the equivalent of firing every bullet in a modern infantry company's basic load nearly 3 times over. 6 a.m. Dawn reveals the full extent of carnage. Zulu bodies lie heaped against the barricades. Blood soaks the ground for yards around the compound. The hospital smolders in ruins. Smoke drifts across the Buffalo River carrying the scent of death. The survivors stare at each other in amazement. They have achieved the impossible. Lieutenant Chard begins his official report that morning. His words capture the essence of the defense. The men behaved splendidly throughout the action and with the greatest coolness and courage. Understatement typical of Victorian military tradition. These 139 soldiers have just won the most lopsided defensive victory in British military history. 7 a.m. Zulu prisoners confirm the extent of their losses. 4 senior regiments committed to the attack. The Isandlwana suffers 40% casualties. The Ndlandlo loses half its strength. The Udloko and Indluyengwe withdraw in disorder. Prince Dabulamanzi's military reputation lies in ruins along with his warriors. 8 a.m. Lord Chelmsford arrives with the relief column. He expected to find smoking ruins and scattered corpses. The sight that greets him defies all military logic. 139 British soldiers still hold their position. Weapons ready, ammunition distributed, defensive positions maintained. The discipline remains perfect despite 12 hours of continuous combat. The weapon analysis reveals why the defense succeeded. The Martini Henry rifle, Mark II variant, fires a 577 450 cartridge. 485 grain bullet propelled by 85 grains of black powder. Muzzle velocity reaches 1,400 feet per second. Muzzle energy exceeds 1,600 foot-pounds. This massive projectile possesses devastating stopping power. The rifle's single-shot mechanism actually proves advantageous at Rorke's drift. Soldiers cannot waste ammunition on rapid, unaimed fire. Each shot must count. The falling block action operates smoothly under combat conditions. Extraction problems occur, but trained soldiers clear jams quickly. The robust construction withstands 12 hours of continuous use. Zulu firearms prove less reliable. Trade muskets, obsolete military rifles, captured Martini Henrys without proper ammunition. Most warriors lack firearms training. They shoot high in darkness, waste precious cartridges on long-range targets. The technological gap proves decisive when combined with British tactical advantages. The tactical lessons resonate through military history. Defensive positions multiply firepower effectiveness. Disciplined troops outfight larger undisciplined forces. Leadership matters more than numbers in crisis situations. Adequate ammunition supply enables sustained resistance. These principles remain valid in modern warfare, despite technological advances. Recent archaeological work confirms the historical accounts. Excavations between 1988 and 1990 uncover physical evidence supporting British claims. Martini. Henry cartridge cases found in concentrations matching defensive positions. Zulu spear points discovered near the barricades. Charcoal layers from the hospital fire precisely dated to January 1879. The international impact proves immediate and lasting. News of Rorke's drift reaches London on February 11th. After the shock of Isandlwana, the British public embraces this tale of heroic resistance. Newspaper coverage emphasizes British courage over Zulu military skill. The narrative serves imperial propaganda perfectly. 11 Victoria Crosses, awarded for one action, sets a record never equaled. 7 go to soldiers of the 24th Foot, the most ever received by a single regiment in one battle. Each citation emphasizes individual gallantry under impossible circumstances. The medals transform ordinary soldiers into national heroes overnight. The broader strategic picture reveals Rorke's drift's true significance. The battle does not affect the war's outcome. British columns continue their methodical advance into Zululand. Superior artillery and cavalry prove decisive in subsequent engagements. The Zulus suffer final defeat at Ulunde 6 months later. King Cetshwayo's capture ends organized resistance, but the psychological impact transcends military considerations. Rorke's drift restores British confidence shattered at Isandlwana. It proves that disciplined infantry can defeat overwhelming odds given proper leadership and adequate ammunition. The lesson influences British colonial policy for the next 4 decades. The myth-making begins immediately. Lady Elizabeth Butler's painting, The Defense of Rorke's Drift, attracts massive crowds at the Royal Academy in 1881. Popular literature transforms the battle into legend. The complex reality of imperial expansion simplifies into a tale of civilization against barbarism. Modern analysis reveals a more nuanced picture. The Zulus demonstrate exceptional courage attacking prepared positions. Their tactical flexibility adapts to British defensive measures. Individual warriors show remarkable skill infiltrating the perimeter. The battle represents military professionalism on both sides, rather than one-sided heroism. The final evidence comes from an unexpected source. A soil core sample taken near the storehouse in 2019 reveals charcoal layers consistent with the hospital fire described in British accounts. Chemical analysis confirms the residue dates to 1879. Even the earth remembers the night when 150 Redcoats held the line against 4,000 Zulu spears. The numbers tell the ultimate story. 4,000 Zulu warriors, 150 British defenders, 12 hours of continuous fighting, 28,900 rounds fired, 351 enemy killed, 17 British dead, mathematics of the impossible made real through discipline, leadership, and superior firepower. Cold stone, hot lead, dawn still came.